Greetings once again, everybody. This is the Mad Professor from the Two Cigars and a Blunt podcast. We stream live Fridays, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, followed by the Ashed Out After Show, which we normally try to get within 5 to 10 minutes of the end of the Two Cigars and a Blunt podcast. And of course, Wednesdays we do the Better Than Sex Sports podcast, 7 Eastern, 6 Central. Now, I know it's been quite some time since I made a video, and I was really, it's been really difficult for me to do because there's so much going on, and I want to talk about it all, but I have to kind of limit myself because I try to write my own scripts, I try to do my own research, and for one person to do, that's kind of difficult, and I'm not complaining about it because it gives me something to do. Um, but the doing the videos have always been cathartic up until this week. And my blood pressure, I don't have issues with it, but listening to Felon 47 always kind of and watching him always kind of raises it. And unfortunately, this week we've had to suffer through him celebrating his 100 days in office. And he did this celebration by doing two interviews with what he would call hostile news entities, ABC and NBC. ABC's Terry Moran and NBC's Kristen Welker. And they both had me fuming for the same reason, unfortunately. And I wish I'd done a video about the Moran interview, and it was taking me a long time to edit because I was trying to do some things that I normally don't do in my videos. Put in video packages and put in images. And it was taking me a while to do this. And in doing so, the Kristen Welker interview came up and I scrapped the whole thing because I'm like, this interview is worse than the ABC interview. I mean, honestly, I'm being hyperbolic here, but I almost blacked out having to listen to this man speak. I mean, the first one made me mad. The second one just thoroughly pissed me off. And, it's because of the ease with which he lies and the audacity he gets when he gets a little bit of pushback that he's not used to getting from the OANs and the Foxes of the world. So, he'd get upset with the interviewers, insult them, and insult everybody who is not him or within his circle. And it all started, unfortunately, with Mr. Moran's interview when he asked him what did the Declaration of Independence mean to him.
You have the Declaration of Independence.
What does it mean to you?
Well, it means exactly what it says. It's a declaration. It's a declaration of unity and love and respect, and it means a lot. And it's something very special to our country.
Unity, love, and respect. Unity it's the Declaration of Independence, which means unity is out of the picture. We were separating ourselves, of course, from the British Empire, and anybody who knows history knows that, but he doesn't give a tinker's damn about history. He only cares about himself. And the thing that really pissed me off about this is if any other president had said this, even some Republican presidents, true Republican conservative presidents had said this, they'd be rightfully excoriated for that type of answer, because that unity is unity, love, and respect. You can kind of qualify love and respect of country, whatever, but unity was not what the Declaration of Independence was about. Not even close. But the maggots, of course, they applauded and barked like seals because, hey, their guy gave an answer. And then, of course, came the part of that interview that pissed me off the most, when the subject of Abrego Garcia and due process came up. And, of course, it focused on Abrego Garcia's tattoos, which,
He wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute
Well,
over
wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles
didn't say-
tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry. Terry.
He did not have the
Don't do that.
letter MS13.
It says MS13.
That was Photoshop. So let me
That
just...
was Photoshop. Terry, you
He
can't
had-
do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay.
I knew
But
this
I
would
picked
come.
you, Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS13
All right,
tattooed.
we'll agree to disagree. I want to
Terry,
move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture. We'll
And you think it
agree
was
to disagree.
Photoshop? Well,
Here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He
Fair
had
enough.
MS13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine,
No,
sir.
Terry,
I want to get to
Terry,
Ukraine.
No. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why
All right.
people no longer believe the news, because
When
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They
Take
weren't
a look
there,
at the
but they're
photograph.
there now, right?
No,
but they're there
in
now.
your picture.
Terry,
Ukraine, sir.
he's got MS13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
Well, we'll take a look at that.
It's you do
We'll take a
such a
look at that.
disservice.
We'll take a look at
Why
that.
Well, you saw him. Now that answer and the anger with which he answered and asking Mr. Moran, why won't you just go along? Does that seem like the response of a mature presidential person, or a petulant child who craps his pants just to shut you up, just to protest that you're not letting them have their way? And in my original video, I had a lot more of that interview, but the NBC interview was so much worse to me, and I figured it would be because if you notice, Felon 47 is always combative with certain women that interview him, especially when they decide to question him. And the issues began with the talk of inflation.
Country. Look, Biden gave us the worst inflation in the history of our country. People, it didn't matter what they made because they were losing their shirt because of costs. Now take a look at what happened. Oil is down, gasoline is down, groceries are down, eggs. You were the one that asked me. You asked me about eggs. It was the first week. I didn't even know anything about what were you talking about. Egg prices were so high you couldn't buy eggs. They didn't have any eggs. And they said Easter is going to be a disaster. Well, we had Easter at the White House, and we had thousands of eggs, and they were down 87%.
Yeah, a lot of that, of course, spike was because of bird flu. But when does it become the Trump economy?
Why do you say that?
Well, tell me,
we had the same bird flu as he had.
And you see in his answer how he moves the goalpost, admitting that the bird flu was a huge factor in the price of eggs when Biden was president, but it's still there, so he shouldn't be blamed for his lies. Then it came to me the worst response, but the one you'd expect from him.
When does it become the Trump economy?
It partially is right now, and I really mean this. I think the good parts are the Trump economy, and the bad parts are the Biden economy, because he's done a terrible job. He did a
You see how he deflected blame yet again? It kind of reminds me of a certain basketball player we all know. The person that always wants all the credit when he wins, but none of the blame when he loses. Then, of course, since he's not used to pushback, when Ms. Welker reminded him about his lies to bring down prices with his first day of office, he began his favorite way to push back.
Prices are already going up on some popular items.
whoa.
Tires,
Whoa.
strollers.
This is such a dishonest interview already. Prices are down on groceries. Prices are down for oil. Prices are down for all energy. Prices are down at tremendous numbers for gasoline. And let me tell you, when you have the big thing, what he did, he spent like a stupid person, which he was, but he spent like a very stupid person. And that was bad for inflation. But what really killed us with inflation was the price of energy. It went up to $3.90, even $4, and in California, $5 and $6, right? Okay.
He insults a real President Joe Biden. He insults the interview question. He insults the questioner. But then he lied about fuel again and again and again and again.
On energy, which is ahead of my prediction, because I really thought I could get it down into the 250s. We have it down at $1.98 in numerous places. But when you say costs are going up, even mortgage rates are going down.
And just for those of you who don't know, at the time of this recording, the cheapest fuel can be found in Mississippi, and it's about $2.66 a gallon. So way off that $1.80 he keeps bringing up, or 90 cents, whatever it is he keeps saying. I really can't listen to him. And mortgage rates, by the way, are down because no one wants to buy in this economy. So there are more houses to buy. They keep lowering. Their interest rates aren't going to lower, because if you do that, the housing market is going to go bust, just as it did around the time Obama became president. And no one wants that, especially the banks. And the problem is, corporations bought houses, and they overpaid for houses, which raised property taxes in all the areas around the houses. So nobody can afford to buy a house. The houses cost too much, and then the taxes on those houses are way too high, which of course raises insurance rates. Now, I couldn't make sense of this man's math in this answer, but I want to see if one of y'all can explain to me what he means in this.
Beast.
I guess you're talking about this transition cost. How long should people expect that transition to last, Mr. President?
I can't tell you that. I can tell you that we're making a lot of money. We're doing great. Again, we're losing more than $5 billion a day. $5 billion a day. You don't talk about that. And right now, we're going to be at a point very soon where we're making money every day. Look.
How soon?
We were losing hundreds of billions of dollars with China. Now we're essentially not doing business with China. Therefore, we're saving hundreds of billions of dollars.
See, the problem is, just because you don't buy a thing doesn't mean you don't need that thing. It just means you probably can't afford to buy it. And by this time, honestly, listening to him, I kind of got fed up, and I could get as far as I could with my sanity and blood pressure. That's when Felon 47 gave up the entire game in this answer that he gave to this question in the interview.
To achieve your long-term goals.
Well, you say some people on Wall Street say, well, I tell you something else. Some people on Wall Street say that we're going to have the greatest economy in history. Why don't you talk about them? Because some people on Wall Street say this is the greatest thing.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at, though. It's the same question.
Yeah, there are many people on Wall Street say this is going to be the greatest windfall ever happened.
And that's my question.
Remember
the
this.
long term. Yeah. Is it okay in the short term to have a recession?
This. Look, yeah.
Now, here's the thing. There is a game plan to beat this. There is one. And part of that game plan is we need to elect progressives and Democrats, and not just anybody who gives a sweet talking point, but somebody who knows what they're going to do, who means that they're going to do what's best for the country and the people of this country and the people that vote for them, and not take a lot of corporate money and not take a lot of lobbyist money. And we can't keep electing maggots. We can't keep electing Republicans, because they're all going to turn into maggots. But we really need people who are going to do what's best for the country and what's best for the people of this country, and do what they were elected to do. Not take care of businesses, not enrich themselves, but what's best for everybody in the country. And it's not it's not just that we have to keep this up to midterms, through the next set of midterms and through the next presidential election. We've got to remember, and I've said this plenty times before. I don't know if I said it on video, but I've said it during the podcast. Your local elections are just as, if not more important than the federal elections. Your governors, your state reps, everything is important, because in this state of Louisiana, the maggots that we have here are trying to limit the amount, trying to do away with, not just limit the amount, trying to do away with paying people who were wrongfully convicted by the state. So you can spend 30, 40 years in prison wrongfully and not get a damn thing from it, other than the pennies that you earn doing hard labor in prison. You have to make sure that you stick with your family and friends, the people you love, to make sure that they're not being purged off voter rolls, because that's the way the last election was actually stolen from Vice President Harris. You have to make sure that your documents are up, because your documents are in order, because that's another way that they're trying to take away your right to vote. Like I said, they're trying to deny everything because they know they can't win otherwise. And people, There are 546 days until the midterms, and frickin' unfortunately, 1,354 days until the next presidential election. I don't know how we gonna make it. I mean, because this is something to be concerned about. It's something to be a bit angry about, and it's damn sure something we need to talk about.